Good evening. There is a powerful driving force inside every human being that, once unleashed, can make any vision, dream or desire a reality. Welcome to BMC News Live in English, brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa issued 2 royal decrees. King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence gets global accolade. Entry ban on VC visa holders to 4 Saudi airports. Saudi bans Arab female Snapchatter from advertising in country. Environment Agency Abu Dhabi has introduced a ban on single-use plastic bags in the Emirate. Australia's Prime Minister appointed record number of women to diverse cabinet. News in detail. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa issued 2 royal decrees organizing the Electricity and Water Affairs Ministry and the Secretary General of the Higher Education Council. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa issued a Royal Decree 22nd of 2022 organizing the Electricity and Water Affairs Ministry and Royal Decree 23rd of 2022 organizing the Secretary General of the Higher Education Council. As per the Royal Decree 22nd of 2022, the Minister of Electricity and Water Affairs shall be responsible for, first, the Director General of Energy Efficiency with the rank of Assistant Under Secretary, who shall oversee the Directorate of Energy Efficiency and Central Cooling, the Directorate of Renewable Energy and Research. Second, the Directorate of Public and International Relations. As per Royal Decree 23rd of 2022, the Secretary General of the Higher Education Council is responsible for the Assistant Secretary General, who shall oversee the Directorate of Research and Policies, the Directorate of Academic Services, the Directorate of Accreditation and Licensing. The Minister of Electricity and Water Affairs and the Minister of Education shall implement the corresponding decrees, which become effective immediately and will be published in the official gazette. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa has today received the credentials of 12 new ambassadors accredited to the Kingdom of Bahrain during a ceremony held at Sakir Palace. Belarus, Estonia, Croatia, Austria, Kenya, Vatican, Angola, Australia, Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon, New Zealand and Cyprus. Addressing the ceremony, His Majesty the King welcomed the new ambassadors, taking pride in Bahrain's distinguished relations with their respective countries. He wished the diplomats success in assuming their duties, pledging full support to further bolster relations binding the Kingdom of Bahrain and their countries. His Majesty the King extended personal greetings to leaders of their countries, wishing them success in their duties and abundant health and well-being. He said that Bahrain is the kingdom of tolerance, peace and cooperation with the whole world as far as common communication can be achieved, adding that doors will always be open to enhance joint cooperation, as was always case of hundreds if not thousands of years ago. The ambassadors conveyed to His Majesty the King greetings from the country's presidents, who wished His Majesty the King abundant health and happiness, and the Kingdom of Bahrain and its people further progress and prosperity. They hailed strong relations binding their countries with the Kingdom of Bahrain. Bahrain is a global model as a diverse and thriving society. Bahrain has emerged as a diverse metropolitan society under the visionary leadership of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. This diversity of society is a sign of power and strength for Bahrain, as stressed by His Majesty the King. Bahrain Ambassador to the EU, Abdullah bin Faisal Al Dosri, told in the sidelines of the first European Bahrain Conference held under the theme Broadening the Tent, Freedom of Religion and Belief. During the session, Al-Dosri presented Bahrain's perspective on the freedom of religion and beliefs. He touched upon Bahrain's foreign policy and diplomatic ties with the world. He explained how the royal directives guide diplomacy policies, make the kingdom a distinguished country in the region. European Union and GCC explores avenues of cooperation for peaceful coexistence and religious harmony. The first EU-Bahrain Conference being held in Manama is a step forward for both blocs' commitment on peaceful coexistence and religious harmony in the rapidly changing world. This was the crux of opening statement of EU Ambassador to Bahrain, Patrick Simonet. during the EU-Bahrain Conference being held under the theme Broadening the Tent, Freedom of Religion and Belief. The high-level EU-Bahrain Conference titled Broadening the Tent, Freedom of Religion and Belief is organized in the framework of an important program of dialogue between the EU and GCC countries aimed at reinforcing mutual understanding and cooperation in fields of coexistence through the freedom of religion and belief, he said. This conference is a fantastic opportunity to bring together experts, academics, policymakers, young and less young people from the EU and Bahrain to reflect together on the role of freedom of religion and belief, he added. King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence gets global accolade. King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence has won accolades at the first EU-Bahrain Conference, being held under the theme Broadening the Tent, Freedom of Religion and Belief. Mary Jochar, team leader at Enhanced EU-GCC Political Dialogue, Cooperation and Outreach Project on Tuesday said the King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence has been one of the inspiring and key drivers between the EU-GCC project on religious harmony. The EU-Bahrain Conference titled Broadening the Tent, Freedom of Religion and Belief is being held in Manama within the framework of the EU-funded regional project named the Enhanced EU-GCC Political Dialogue Project, covering all GCC countries, she said. The project aims at strengthening the relationship, deepening the dialogue and seeking understanding between the EU and the GCC at the regional and country levels in several fields, including on interreligious dialogue, she added. NIHR participates in Gulf University's 11th Career Day. The Secretary General of the National Institution for Human Rights has participated in the 11th Career Day organized by the Gulf University at its premises to introduce its students to the career and training opportunities provided by the participating parties. The NIHR's participation is within the framework of its keenness to promote the culture of human rights among all segments of society and to fully encourage the educational and academic process in the kingdom. During the event, the NIHR presented an overview of the Human Rights Research Fellowship Program targeting academics, postgraduate students, human rights defenders, and all those interested in conducting research in the field of human rights. It also showcased a number of its publications in the human rights field. Bahrain and Oman signed Parliamentary Cooperation Memorandum. Speaker Fawzia bint Abdullah Zainal and Oman's Shura Council Chairman Sheikh Khalid bin Hilal Al Malawi have signed a memorandum of cooperation to bolster ties between the two countries. The memorandum reflects the keenness of the two chambers to contribute to strengthening their bonds in various fields and to bolster coordination at all levels. The agreement covers strengthening parliamentary cooperation and promoting shared interests in sustainable development, future foresight, innovation, and the exchange of parliamentary and diplomatic experiences. The memorandum also stressed the importance of consultation, coordination, and exchange of views on various issues of common interest and working together to exchange experiences on commitment to international charters and by both countries and the optimal mechanisms of their implementation within national frameworks. Bahraini woman ordered to pay bidding 19,000 to Ghazi. The High Civil Appeals Court upheld the decision to order a woman to return bidding 19,000 to the General Organization for Social Insurance after she received her late father's pension for 5 years, although she got married. The woman's father died and she was entitled to receive the pension. However, she got married and she was paid for 5 years before it was discovered. As a result, Ghazi filed a court suit against the woman, demanding her to pay the aforementioned amount of money, which equals the money she received. Today's COVID updates. COVID updates brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness. All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
Welcome back. Al Hilal Multi-Speciality Medical Center, Salmabad, conducted an RT-PCR campaign at Huawei Company, Bahrain. Free RT-PCR swabbing was done for around 200 Huawei Company employees. Now, entry ban on visit visa holders to 4 Saudi airports. Saudi Arabian Airlines, Saudia warned tourism companies against booking flight tickets for holders of visit visas of all kinds to airports in Jeddah, Medina, Yanbu and Taif as of June 9, 2022. Saudia clarified that the period of its ban on entry to visa holders to their 4 airports is valid until July 9, 2022. Saudi bans Arab female Snapchatter from advertising in country. The General Commission for Audiovisual Media banned a famous Arab female Snapchatter from advertising in Saudi Arabia after she violated several laws in the kingdom by promoting smoking. The General Commission for Audiovisual Media slapped a fine amounting Saudi Riyal 400,000 on the female Snapchatter for practicing work without a license, according to Saudi press agency. The Ministry of Commerce seized the violating facility that was promoted and imposed legal penalties on it. The Arab female violated several regulations, including the audiovisual media law, the e-commerce law and the anti-smoking law by practicing advertising without a license and publishing videos and promoting tobacco through her accounts on social media. Jeddah season attracts 2 million visitors. Since its launch on May 2nd, the number of visitors of the Jeddah season 2022 has reached 2 million of different ages and nationalities, with more visitors expected to attend the 9-event areas to enjoy the international shows and adventures. This unprecedented number of visitors come less than a month since the season started earlier this month, reflecting the visitors' desire to enjoy the historical, cultural and recreational features of Jeddah, so the press agency reported. Jeddah season 2022 includes various mesmerizing international activities, experiments, exhibitions, plays and parties, all which contribute to portraying a remarkable memory for the visitors. Jeddah's historical value is also highlighted in the season, especially for those who arrive at the event from inside and outside Saudi Arabia. Chinese embassy in Kuwait says tourist visas on hold. The economic and commercial attaché of the Chinese embassy in Kuwait said travel to his country is not permitted so far, indicating that Beijing is currently in the stage of studying the situation in this regard. He confirmed that there are no tourist visas for Kuwaitis to travel to his country this summer, pointing out that the opportunity will be available after completing the necessary arrangements. The Environment Agency Abu Dhabi has introduced a ban on single-use plastic bags in the emirate. However, certain bags have been exempted from the ban. The excluded bags are those designated to carry medicines in pharmacies, rolls for vegetables, meat, fish, chicken, grains and bread, large shopping bags designed for fashion or electronic gadgets and toys, several types of waste packets, ones that are meant to carry postal parcels, magazines and newspapers, laundry bags, those used to transport plants and flowers. Denmark to vote on overturning 30 years of EU defence reticence. Danish voters will on Wednesday decide whether to join the European Union's defence policy, potentially becoming the final holdout in the bloc to sign up as European countries radically reassesses their security. Denmark is the only member of the 27-nation bloc not in the common security and defence policy, having secured exemptions from it and the euro currency in a 1993 referendum on the Maastricht Treaty, which laid the groundwork for the modern European Union, Reuters reported. If the notoriously EU-critical Danes vote to abolish the opt-out, as polls suggest will be the case, it would mark another significant shift in policy for Europe since February. Sweden and Finland this month decided to apply for NATO membership. Both Denmark and Germany have already promised to sharply raise defence spending. Australia's Prime Minister appointed a record number of women to diverse cabinet. Australia's new federal ministry was sworn to office on Wednesday, with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese appointing a record number of women to a diverse cabinet team that includes religious minorities and indigenous aboriginals. A total of 10 women were included in Albanese's 23-member cabinet, surpassing the 7 in the previous Liberal National Coalition government led by Scott Morrison, Reuters reported. Industry Minister Ed Husic and Youth Minister Anne Alley became Australia's first Muslim federal ministers at a ceremony in the national capital, Canberra, while Linda Burney, wearing a kangaroo skin cloak, became the first Aboriginal woman to hold the Indigenous Australians Ministry. Albanese formed an interim ministry that included 4 other key members 2 days after the May 21st selection, so he could attend a Quad group meeting in Tokyo attended by US President Joe Biden and the leaders of Japan and India. Nepal recovered bodies of all 22 victims of plane crash, voice recorder found. Nepalese search and rescue teams on Tuesday recovered the body of the last of 22 people aboard a small plane that crashed in the Himalayas 2 days earlier and found the flight's voice recorder. 2 Germans, 4 Indians and 16 Nepalese were on the twin otter aircraft that crashed 15 minutes after taking off from the tourist town of Pokhara, 125 km west of Kathmandu on Sunday morning. The plane was bound for Jomsom, a popular tourist and pilgrimage site, 80 km northwest of Pokhara on what should have been a 20-minute flight, Reuters reported. Soldiers and rescue workers have retrieved 21 bodies from the wreckage, strewn across a steep slope at an altitude of around 14,500 feet on Monday. Latest cyber attack in Costa Rica targets hospital system. A cyber attack struck Costa Rica's hospitals and clinics early Tuesday morning, the Costa Rican Social Security Fund said. The latest in a string of hacks targeting the Central American country in recent weeks. The cyber attack forced the CCSS to shut down its digital record-keeping system, affecting some 1,200 hospitals and clinics and potentially impacting care for thousands of patients, according to the public health agency, Reuters reported. It was an exceptionally violent attack but has no evidence that a critical database or system was compromised, said Costa Rican Social Security Fund President Alvaro Ramos in a news conference, adding that 30 of the 1,500 servers owned by the CCSS were affected. The National Health Platform is expected to be down for several days, Ramos said. Costa Rica reported that it has been recently targeted in dozens of cyber attacks, which have frozen some foreign trade and tax collection operations, prompting President Rodrigo Chavez to declare a national emergency on May 8th, the day of his inauguration. Officials said the United States, along with the governments of Israel and Spain, have offered assistance to repair damages and to repel future attacks. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I'm Vinod Narayan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.